Hello, and thank you for joining us today at Silver Sage. I am Joan Rutter-Ward, your host, and today my guest is Safari Ktropman. She is the president and founder of Destined to Travel, and they have these exciting safari trips that you can take in Tanzania. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us today, Kay. How are you?
Well, I'm great, but thank you so much for having me. This is a great opportunity, and I really appreciate your having me.
Okay, great. Well, it's good to have you here. Now, okay, so you lead these safari tours in Tanzania, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. Okay. Tell us, how did you get started doing that?
I actually had a career as an HR director for 30 plus years, and during that time it was a great job. I really enjoyed it, but after my mom passed away, then I lost two of my brothers pretty much back to back, and I was in an automobile accident and it left me incapacitated for about a year.
Oh my God.
It gave me a lot of time to think, but it also gave me a lot of time to be depressed. And during that time I had to really consider what I wanted from life now without my brothers and my mom, and hopefully I could get back to walking and doing the things that I was used to doing before the accident. But I spent a good 3 or 4 years being very depressed, and that is not like me. So one morning I woke up and I thought, wow, I have to change my environment. Maybe that will just help me. I just didn't know what life was. I had gotten out of it for so long. And I actually took a trip. I took a trip to Tanzania simply because it was the only trip that was operating as soon as I needed to go, because I really knew if I extended, the time period, that I probably would change my mind. And turns out it was the best move of my life. It actually changed my life. So I went to Tanzania. And I didn't really go for the Tanzania experience. I really just went to get away from home and to clear my head. That was my main reason for going. But in reality, I got a lot more than that. And that was the start of my career. Now, during my whole career with HR, I was also in travel part-time. So it was kind of an easy transition to when I thought about what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I knew it had to be something in travel. I just didn't know exactly what that would look like until after that trip. And so that trip actually saved my life, I would say. Wow. It chose me. I didn't really choose it.
Now, you have tours to Tanzania. Have you been to other parts of Africa too?
Yes. In fact, when I came back from Tanzania, I made the decision to retire because I had spent 30 plus years in HR. Okay. And when I retired, I decided to see what other countries in Africa were like, because I didn't have a lot of experience in Africa. So I took 2 years and I traveled around all of the safari destinations in South and Southern Africa, from South Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Zambia, just a number of countries, Namibia, to see what the difference was in those places and in Tanzania, because I kind of had this experience in Tanzania, and I really wanted to know if every experience was like that. And so what I found out was that there's a different experience in every country in Africa. And I would have to make up my mind what kind of experience I would want for my guests who were going there. And so that gave me the opportunity to see all of the other parts of Africa. And it gave me a chance to make an informed decision. And in the end, I ended up right back in Tanzania.
Okay. We're going to take a break right now. And when we return, we're going to find out more about Tanzania and the tours that Safari K leads there, and also ask the questions I know that are running through many of our minds when we're thinking about safaris and going to a foreign country, especially when you think about Africa. It's like, is it safe? What kind of food do you eat? Where do you stay? Do you stay in tents? Okay, so we're gonna find out when we come back.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this like deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
We discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure,
Pure love.
love.
Thanks for rejoining us. We are here today. I'm talking to Safari Ktropman. She is an expert in travel to Tanzania. So now we're going to find out some answers to those little questions that usually are lurking in the back of our minds. Safari K, please tell us, when we go on a safari like this, where do we stay? Are we out in tents? Are we in cabins somewhere? Just how does that work?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because that is a burning question, because I do know what people think, but I'm here to tell you that, first of all, yes, you may stay in a tent. I do have various kinds of accommodations, but a tent is always one of the places that we do try to stay. And a tent is not what most people think. First of all, it has a bathroom and a shower. They call it en suite. So you do not have to go out. In fact, you cannot go out after dark once you're in a tent. Now, the tents are canvas, and sometimes they're canvas and exterior walls. Sometimes it's all canvas. It just really does depend. There's all different kinds of tents, but I can tell you some of them are more luxurious than your home. Some of them are basic. But they're all very nice, and they're not something that you need to be afraid of, or anybody needs to be afraid of. They're very strong. They're not like pup tents. They are, some of them have actually extra patios on the side. They have extra rooms. They have sitting rooms. Some of them have even kitchenettes in them. There are just all kinds of tents. So I don't want anybody to be afraid and say, I don't want to go because I don't want to stay in a tent. I guarantee you some of these tents you will really want to be in.
Okay. And so are there other places that people can stay?
Yes. So there are lots of other places besides a tent. So I do try to vary the accommodation. So you're not staying at all tents. You might be staying at a lodge, which is like similar to somebody's home, or you might be staying in a home with several rooms in it, you know, and that place could have a beautiful pool area, cabana area. I mean, you just don't know until you get there. When you walk in, you just cannot believe that you are in Africa. So it is really different than what most people think. I know when I first started doing this, I know what most people would ask about. You know, they might see things on television and want to know, are we staying in a sleeping bag on the floor, or are we staying in a little cabin, or what? But it really some beautiful accommodations, lodges, camps. They call them camps, and that could be a tented camp, or it could be semi-tented, or it could be a permanent camp. So there's just all kinds of different properties, but I can assure you that all of them are really nice places to stay. Very nice places. Lodges, camps, tents.
Okay, great. Okay, now the other thing is, what kind of food do you eat when you're over there?
Well, for me, because I am a very picky eater, the food is the best that I have ever had on any trip anywhere.
Wow.
The food is continental. It is not what people don't really know what African food is. They say, do you eat African food? But they don't really know what they're asking when they ask that question. You're not really eating maybe the food that they would ordinarily prepare in Africa, but we do have some nights where we do have African dishes, because I think everybody should have an opportunity to see what they eat. And honestly, even the African dishes are really great, you know. So it's continental with a Pan-African cuisine flavor with their spices. It's some African dishes that really are called something in Swahili that you would recognize as you eat it. I mean, the salads are great and they have a name for that salad, but really it's not what most people would think as an African dish,
Okay.
so that people are not going over there thinking that they're eating leaves or worms or, the things that you see on television, because you do see a lot of that, but that is not what you do at all.
Oh, okay.
And the
All right. Well,
food
that's
is-
good to know. Okay. And now, probably one of the biggest questions too is, just how safe is it going on a safari?
Well, there are some incidents, and I can never say anything is 100%, because you don't know. But I can say that most of the times you see something happen, it's often because guests will do something that you ask them not to do, like stick their hands out of the car or something like that. But Tanzania, first of all, is the safest country in East Africa. There's been no unrest, there's been no protests, there's been no civil unrest or political in all of the 15 years that I've been traveling to Tanzania. As far as the animals go, I've never had any incident on any of my trips, certainly, but again, we do make sure that every guest understands what the rules are. That we don't want to put somebody in that kind of situation. But it's safe. Normally, when a lion comes, when you see a lion, people get a little apprehensive, especially when that lion starts walking towards your vehicle. But then he just plops down, lays down, and he's just there. So we're not going into his space, but he's coming into our space. And the drivers always know how to read the animals, whether they can be closer to the animal or whether it's not a situation for you to be as close as you might be in another situation. So you always depend upon the drivers. But the animals, basically, they are not really paying attention to you because you're not on their food chain. Despite what people think, you're not on their food chain. And they are out there looking for food, but it's not you. So we just want people to understand that when you see an animal, we just ask people, to be very quiet. If there's an elephant next to the car, don't make a lot of noise, and just certain rules that you have to follow. And you will be just amazed at sitting in front of wildlife, what happens in front of you. It's just an awesome feeling. So the safety is not something that you really have to be that concerned about as long as you follow the rules.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay. Well, that's good. All right. Now, if I'm going on a safari, can you give us an idea of, what actually happens when you're on a safari? What can I expect if I go on a safari to Tanzania with you?
Well, you won't expect to spend, if you're on a 14-day safari, you won't expect to spend 14 days always looking at animals, I mean, wildlife is a big part of any safari, and you certainly are going to spend some time out there in nature with the wildlife. But we do go to different parks. We do go to different places. We are not staying in one place. So any safari can have as many as 4 or 5, usually, different properties that you will stay at. So we move around to different areas to see different things. For instance, there is a park that is well known for elephants visiting that park.
Oh, okay.
So we make sure we visit there. Then we go maybe to the Serengeti, where you see a little bit of everything. We go to another park where you see a lot of primates. So every area has different areas that you will go to, and every area will offer something different. So, and we also go shopping. People travel internationally. They want to bring something back, no matter how small it is. And so we make sure that you have that opportunity to go and explore some souvenirs and things like that as well. In Tanzania, you also have the museum where the first discovery of the leakies were found, the first human footprints, and so sometimes we might visit there as well. You also have Mount Kilimanjaro, which is in Tanzania, where people do come and climb that mountain. That's a 6 or 7 day hike, trek on the mountain. But people do come all the time for that as well. So it is not just seeing the wildlife, it's comprehensive, and we offer the shopping experience, we offer the cultural experience. We visit a local tribe there, the Maasai Tribe,
Oh, wow.
so that people can get an idea of who lives there and of the culture there.
We're gonna take a break right now, and when we come back, find out a little bit more about the people.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but all of them are pure love.
Okay, we're back, and I'm talking today with Safari Ktropman about her destined to travel tours to Tanzania. So, Kay, tell us about the children's home that you support that's over there.
Oh, Joan, I'm so glad you asked me about the children's home. It's one of my accomplishments that I just never knew that I would be doing. But I met the founder of the children's home through an article on the front page of the Los Angeles Times. He happens to be in exile in Tanzania, which is known to everybody. He is actually a Black Panther, the leader of the Kansas City chapter of the Black Panthers. And he's been there 50 or so odd years. And so years ago, he started a children's home, he and his wife. And at the time that I met him, he had 14 children. He has 28 now. They're all disadvantaged in some way. Either their parents are no longer living, or a relative was taking care of them, or they didn't have parents. And so Pete stepped in, and now they all live at the children's home. And through donations, Pete and his wife actually support the needs of the children. Education, clothing, feeding, all of them. And so when I met him, I took my guest to meet him, actually. I met him first, and then I brought my guest after that. And one of my guests actually decided that he wanted to do something. And so when he came back home, he did a GoFundMe, and we were able to install solar at their place because they were recipients of, no power for, off and on during the day, and kids couldn't do their homework. They didn't have any lights. And so installing solar was a great thing. And I don't know if I would have thought of it, but my guests thought of it. And so we made that happen. Since that time, we've taken them computers and tablets and books. And we also started a Make a Difference trip. And that trip actually brings people from the United States to share opportunities or their professions and skills with the children. And they actually stay with the children for 2 or 3 days, and then they go on a short safari after that. And the kids just absolutely love it. It is one of the best things that I came up with, and everybody says it's the highlight of the trip, meeting the kids, meeting Pete. He is such a storyteller. He is a fascinating person. He is 80 years old now.
Oh my goodness.
And you never know it, and he is just a joy to talk to and to listen to the stories. And for a lot of people, they don't know anything about the Black Panthers because either they were too young or they just didn't know. And so, he'll share a little bit of that as well. But his story really is history. It's history that you won't really read about in a book. It just is basically his story. And what you might read about here is not usually an accurate depiction of who he is. And so people get a chance to meet him firsthand. And people are so enamored with him and with the opportunity to meet the kids, play with the kids. I mean, we have grown adults, 60, 70 years old, out there playing baseball and football and doing everything with the kids and soccer. So it's a wonderful opportunity, and I look forward to that every year that we do it. We do it once a year called the Make a Difference Safari.
You also mentioned that you, when on your safaris, you go to visit the Maasai Tribe. Is that it?
Yes.
Do people actually get to interact and take pictures and things like that? And
Yes. The Maasai Tribe is one of the older tribes in Tanzania. They're in Kenya and northern Tanzania. So we do get a chance to go to the village, and it's a a day's experience or a few hours.
Oh, okay.
And you get a chance to meet the chief. You get a chance to meet all of the people who inhabit the village. They will show you around. They'll take you into their little manatas and show you, you know, how they live. They'll do the celebration dance for you. And you get a chance to take as many pictures as you want. Ask them anything. They are very open. They really love it when guests come. And then, of course, they do make their own wares, and they do have like a market behind after that. And then they have the school on the premises as well. So you get a chance to see the kids in school. You get a chance to shop, you know, and hopefully support them. It is a fascinating experience that we incorporated many years ago because they are one of the tribes that everybody sees on the road, and people want to know who they are and what they do. There's another couple of tribes there too, which we might do if we had a longer safari, which is called the Hadzabe tribe and the Datogas. And the Hadzab people are true hunters and gatherers, so they hunt for their food.
Oh, wow.
Whereas the Maasai basically have cows. You know, and so they have cows and goats. But the Hadzab tribe, they actually hunt for whatever they eat, because if they don't hunt and get something, they don't eat. And they are one of the last tribes that does that. And so when we have an opportunity, we will make a visit to that tribe as well. And the other tribe is called the Datoga tribe, and they are blacksmiths, so they make a lot of things. Like they make the bow and arrows for the Hadzab tribe, and they do some other things. So so that's a very different experience. And you can actually go hunting with them, which I did.
Oh, really?
Which was quite an experience, you know, because they live actually like they did maybe hundreds of years ago. They haven't changed much. They live in maybe a cave of rocks. It's just a fascinating experience. So when I have an opportunity and we have extra time, I will usually build in that experience as well. So Tanzania has a lot of little hidden treasures. You know, in itself, Tanzania is a hidden gem because a lot of people don't know about Tanzania. They know about the Serengeti. They don't always know that the Serengeti is in Tanzania. But there's a lot of little gems in Tanzania that I try to seek out for the opportunity for my guests to have a different experience.
Wow, that sounds really interesting and very educational, and to to be able to even to get close to something like that. Wow, that's really interesting. So I know when I've talked to you before, you mentioned how people that have gone have said that taking this trip changed their lives. And how can you give us an example of how it's changed someone's life, or they said it changed their life?
I remember meeting somebody one time, and he was just a young boy, and I wanted to help him in some way. He was at school. He was teaching. And he was probably about 16 years old, but he was teaching the young kids. And I asked him, if I could bring you something, what would it be? And he said, a dictionary. Now, I don't know anybody who would tell me that, ask me to bring something and would tell me a dictionary. But he was just thrilled when I said that I could bring him. And he had the name of the dictionary, a Merriam-Webster dictionary. So when I went back, and I did go back, I brought him that dictionary, and I mean, you would have thought I gave him $1 million.
Wow.
Because that $1 million smile was worth every step of carrying that dictionary to him, And people say that they see now, it really brings home the point that they see people who don't have as much as they do, but they're just as happy or happier.
Right.
And that resonates with people. And people always say that this was just the journey of a lifetime, that they learned so much, and that, it really has changed how they feel about things, about how other people live, because you can easily make assumptions with what you see on television. But now they're here, they're immersed in this culture, and they're seeing how happy people are, and they're seeing a difference. And so their journey really is my journey, making a difference along the way, whether it's with the people on the trip or whether it's the people who live there. It's making a difference. And that is the part for me that has changed my life dramatically from when I was in HR.
We're going to close now. We're out of time. We could sit here talking more about this and looking at more pictures, but our time's up. And okay, now if you want to find out more about Safari K and what she does, what you can do is go to our website. There's a guest page that has all her info, all her contact info, and you can find out more about her there and how to get in contact and reach her. And even she has videos and things online that will be referenced there as well. Things you can see and people that have gone, what testimonials, what they say about it. So check it out. Okay, thank you so much for taking the time out and coming on the show today. Really appreciate it. And thank you out there for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon.